What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the WRC West Coast YouTube channel. This episode is going to be number 3, and it's going to cover bags 12 through 15. Home stretch now to get this Truggy ready. I need to get it done in the next day or so that I can have time to shift my focus over towards getting the trailer cleaned up, stocked up, and get it over to the facility so I can get a good spot for the team. And yeah, get ready for practice day. So with all that being said, let's get to it. Bag number 12. All right, so next we're gonna get the Ackerman plate ready to mount. So if you look at the Ackerman plate, got the freaking there we go, to focus. You see it has an arrow there, so you want that arrow facing the front. So if you're looking at the truck, looking down at left wheel, that's facing the front. So, and then you're gonna get the left-hand bell crank. And you're gonna get this sleeve here. So it's threaded, and obviously it's got a shelf on there to keep it from moving. God, I wish this wasn't so out of focus, guys. I'm really sorry. I don't know what's up with this camera. Yeah, so, and now we're gonna get the Ackerman plate, and the manual is telling us to use it, mount it from the second hole from the bottom. So right there, so second hole up from the bottom, and we're gonna get the M3x8. No, I take that back. These are we're gonna use these here, these flat heads that I've already treated with some brake cleaner, and I'm gonna put some thread locker on them. This part definitely requires some thread locker, just because obviously you got a lot of stresses being put on this part here. And to me, it's like the backbone of the steering. So this is the part you do not want to have any flex on it, or too much play, I should say. Okay, so one thing they don't illustrate in the manual, they don't specify. So on most kits, like this part right here, they'll have like some sort of hex fitting on there, so you can turn it and tighten it. They don't tell you, but if you look, there is a hex opening there for a 3 mil. This one right here, and that's what you're going to use to tighten it. And just give it a good tweak there, and then you can see that, you know, it's got plenty of play in there, so it's still free moving. So we're going to repeat the same step on the right hand bell crank. All right, let's set that down. And there we go. You got steering bell cranks that are free moving. Now we're going to grab the chassis, which we haven't had a chance to really take a good look at it. Very cool little piece. I definitely love how they etch the branding and the part number into it. So we're going to get the steering posts here, and we're going to get these flat heads here. Sorry. And again, I've already treated these with some brake cleaner ahead of time. Definitely want some thread locker on these, because there's definitely a lot of forces here, and this is the part right here that you do not want any slop. You do not want these posts flopping around. And let's give it a good torque there, and repeat the same thing on the other side. And now we're gonna mount the steering posts. It's gonna go like that. So you're gonna want to put 2 of your bearings there. Mount the bell cranks like so. And there we go. Super smooth, super free. All right, so I got everything already trimmed up here off the tree and set up. And what I'm gonna get started on, first part of bag number 12, is getting the steering link set up. Same principle as before, where the shorter end of the links will be facing outward towards the outside of the truck, and the longer pieces towards the inside, towards the Ackerman plate. And there is also a straight and a curved end link. The curved part will be facing the outside, attached to the steering levers on the caster blocks, and the inside will be to the Ackerman plate. So yeah, let me go ahead and get started on threading these. Started on the longest side, which is the left-hand thread, and all right, so the manual is illustrating that these will be set at 66 millimeters. So we got a ways to go because my initial was at like 70. Let's do a remeasure here. Okay, so I got the links all set up, both of them set at 66 inches, and now I'm going to insert the end links, or the ball ends into the links. There is a correct and incorrect way. So if you see, I don't know if you can kind of see, but there is this side, the left-hand side here, is bigger than the right-hand side. It comes out, you know, it's just kind of tapered downward. That's going to be on the link facing the Ackerman plate. That's going to be, the larger side is going to be on the top. So that's going to actually mount to the Ackerman plate. So you got to make sure that that's facing upward. So let me get this thing put in real quick. Okay. And then on the outside of the link, you have to consider that the curve has to be facing downward. So, you know, if you're looking at the truck straight down, this is going to be, you know, like this is the left-hand wheel. You want the curve facing downward, right? So just keep that in mind too, that there is a correct way to get this thing clocked and set up. So let me get this link installed real quick here, like so. All right, and you see that they're nice and smooth, and you just want to make sure and repeat that process on the other side. Same principle, large. So one thing I want to point out, so the one that's like a little bit larger, you can kind of see like the head's a little bit larger. That's actually threaded, so that's why that needs to be facing a certain way, because obviously a screw is going to be coming down. So that's why that's important. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and do is set up the steering saver. So you got to get the O-ring, and it's got to go inside here. So you see how it's got kind of like a little shelf on it. You know, right there. So you're gonna want to insert it from the top. You can't really tell it just by looking at it, because you look like it's not gonna fit. But once you insert it, there's actually a recess machine into the inside of the adjustment nut here, or adjustment collar, for the O-ring to get seated. You might have to get a little mini screwdriver in there to get it to seat correctly. But yeah, see, there you go. It just pops right in there, so you can kind of see that there's a recess machined into it. So that's where that O-ring goes. And then you're gonna put the spring, and then you're gonna put this little, it's like a little, like a spacer. I'm gonna trim this up a little bit. It's got a little bit of flashing on there. There we go. All right, that one's gonna go inserted with that little, see, a little shelf in there facing into the coil, like that. And then you're going to get the lower half here of the bell crank with the, you know, there's an opening facing upward, like so. And best to put it on the bench. that's going to be facing forward, and then this is going to be the actual arm that's going to hook up to the steering servo. And then you're going to want to slip the sleeve in here with the threads on there. And notice how it's got a hex on the top, and that's going to match up to obviously the hex that's on the top of the arm here. And you want to make sure you get that in there inserted correctly. See how it sits flush once you get it in there. And then this is usually the part that's kind of hard on kits, but on the WIRC it is not that difficult, and you can see that it's already started. I know for a fact that there's kits out there that this is a very, very difficult step. Not so on this kit. And that's, again, it attests to the engineering that's been put forth on this. So there we go. Again, the manual also does not clarify how far to put this in there. So I think the last time I did it, I set it up at the gap to be 8 mil, so I got a little bit more to go. Right there. Okay, so that part's done. All right, so next we're gonna get the Ackerman plate ready to mount. So if you look at the Ackerman plate, there we go, to focus, you see it has an arrow there, so you want that arrow facing the front. So if you're looking at the truck, looking down at left wheel, that's facing the front. So, and then you're gonna get the left-hand bell crank. You're gonna get this sleeve here. So it's threaded, and obviously it's got a shelf on there to keep it from moving. God, I wish this wasn't so out of focus, guys. I'm really sorry. I don't know what's up with this camera. Yeah, so, and now we're gonna get the Ackerman plate, and the manual is telling us to use it, mount it from the second hole from the bottom. So right there, so second hole up from the bottom, and we're gonna get the M3x8. No, I take that back. These are we're gonna use these here, these flat heads that I've already treated with some brake cleaner, and I'm gonna put some thread locker on them. This part definitely requires some thread locker, just because obviously you got a lot of stresses being put on this part here, and I mean, it's like the backbone of the steering, so this is the part you do not want to have any flex on it, or too much play, I should say. Okay, so one thing they don't illustrate in the manual, they don't specify, so on most kits, like this part right here, they'll have like some sort of hex fitting on there, so you can turn it and tighten it. They don't tell you, but if you look, there is a hex opening there for a 3 mil, this one right here, and that's what you're going to use to tighten it. And just give it a good tweak there, and then you can see that, you know, it's got plenty of play in there, so it's still free moving. So we're gonna repeat the same step on the right hand bell crank. All right, let's set that down. Get my little flat head there. Oop. A little bit more than I wanted to put, but I'll kind of spread it out with my finger there. Like so. And we're gonna do the same thing. So you're gonna want to make sure that when you're mounting this, it's like that. You want this little arm here facing out. I'll get it started, and then I'll swoop it around and get my little 3 mil in there. And there we go. You got steering bell cranks that are free moving. Now we're going to grab the chassis. We're going to get these flat heads here. Sorry. And again, I've already treated these with some brake cleaner ahead of time. Definitely want some thread locker on these, because there's definitely a lot of forces here, and this is the part right here that you do not want any slop. You do not want these posts flopping around. And just give it a good torque there. And repeat the same thing on the other side. Oh my goodness. Thread locker always makes a mess. No matter how small of the opening I make, it still flows and gushes out of there. Okay. And then now we're gonna mount the steering posts. It's gonna go like that. So you're gonna want to put 2 of your bearings there. Mount the bell cranks like so. And there we go. Super smooth, super free. That's the way it should be. All right, now that pretty much wraps up. Oh, well, you know, no, let me attach the links. It's actually telling you to attach the steering links. All right, here are the links. And again, this is the part that you're gonna also wanna make sure that you pay attention to how you're mounting them. So obviously, like I said, you want this curve facing down when it's, you know, when you're mounting it. Let me move this out of the way. That's the front clip. Hold for a second. Okay, and I said the manual wants us putting this on the second hole from the bottom of the Ackerman plate. So again, let me get some thread locker here. Second hole from the bottom, and we're gonna do wrong side though, and we'll start turning it. One hole too high. There we go. I'm gonna have to go back and tighten those because that's the same principle that we were talking about before, where there's no hex on there, but you can use, I believe, 2.0 on that side. I'll show you right now what I mean in a second. Sorry, don't mean to be mumbling here. Second hole from the bottom. You're just gonna start spinning freely, and I gotta remember what size it is down here. I believe it's a 2.5. Yeah. Oh god, sorry, this is so clumsy, guys. I need to. Again, it's just the way the angle in which I'm filming this. So yeah, from the bottom half, you're gonna get a 2.5. So you're gonna have to kind of hold the plates in place. You put your 2.5 there, and then you're gonna get your 2.0. All right, I just ended up removing the bill cranks because that's obviously probably the order you should do it in. Anyway, so this is the bottom half, right here. There's a 2.5 socket right there. Then you get your 2.0 and start tightening that down. Like so. Now see, you got plenty of movement and it's super strong. Same thing on this side. Okay, now we'll go ahead and mount the steering bell cranks back. All right, now, there we go. All right, next step is gonna be bag number 13, which I have already opened, and this is gonna be actually mounting the front clip to the car. So yeah, we're getting to the good parts right now. Actually, did I miss a part here? Oh yeah, one part fell out. Sorry, it's the front. I was gonna say this is a little bit longer, but that's for the rear. The front chassis brace, pretty standard design where you can see you put the hex. You put these nylon lock nuts in from the top. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. All right, so the next step of bag 13 is I'm gonna go ahead and install the front chassis brace. I already got my drill ready here, and it's gonna be these two holes back here. And I removed the bell cranks again, just because it's gonna be easier than them kind of flopping around. And I just lightly put them in there because chances are you're gonna have to move the brace around a little bit to get the holes to line up again. Like, oh, there we go. Oh, that one, I pushed a little too hard from the bottom, and it pushed the lock nut up a little bit. So I'm gonna have to get it reseated here. Do it by hand. And there we go. All right, good deal. Now we're gonna go ahead and get ready to mount the bell cranks back up again. Oh, other way. Alright, still nice and smooth. Alright, and let's get the front clip. And since I'm getting ready to do that, this will be the part where I'm gonna grease that up. So let me get my grease that I didn't have handy. So I ran low on my copper grease, so I'm gonna order some more, but I did have some of this green that I've used before, and it's also very, very good. Also from J&T Bearing. And I usually apply my grease with the brush. Excuse me. It's a little bit easier to manage, and you can kind of apply it as thick as you want, or okay. And I'll just kind of spin it and make sure it gets in there good with all the gears. All right, now I'm ready to mount this up. And we're gonna get it good and seated. And now, which is the part I've been waiting for, because it actually will help keep the bell cranks in place finally, so I don't have to keep taking them off. Yeah, there we go. So to get that in there, and let's see, so for the two rears, which I'm gonna do first, the two rear screws, those are gonna be in 4x12s. There we go, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Yeah, so I'm doing the two rears first because I still have to put the front skid plate, right? So I can't, not skid plate, sorry, the bumper, sorry. And this one's gonna take the longer ones. Alright, and then I'm gonna finish them off by hand. Flip that around. Now we got a front clip mounted to the truck, and I'm gonna get the hardware I need to get the links mounted to the levers out here. All right, now let's get these mated up. I already put a little bit of thread locker on there. Not a whole lot, but just enough to make sure that I have peace of mind there. And I'm gonna have to flip it over here to get the screw started. Sorry, I'm trying to get this set up so I can get it in view again for you. On the top, and you'll get your 2.0 on the bottom, and start turning. Sorry about that. All right, for the other side here, same thing. Just gonna do a little bit of thread locker here on the screw. One on the back there, and there we go. Got a front clip, and yeah, everything's nice and sturdy. Always got to put our screws up top here. I already put the insert there, and that's gonna be the same size. I think they're 3x8s. Everything's still good. Good deal. So that pretty much wraps up the front end part of this step. I think now we're gonna probably swing around to the back. All right, so now we're gonna move on to mounting the rear clip onto the chassis. I've already inserted the nylon lock nuts into the rear chassis brace, and I've got my drill here ready to mount these. And I didn't think that it was going to be an issue getting all the camera angles in and whatnot, because this is a pretty big table that I work at. All right, so I'm just going to get it started and then flipped around like so. I got a rear chassis brace, and I'm going to move on to attaching the bulkhead that's going to mount to that rear chassis brace. That one's going to be using these round heads right here. So these little, let me zoom in on that for you. So these little shelves right here are going to line up with these tool holes here, like so. There we go. Start that one. Adjust my torque. Alright, and then I'll just finish them up by hand. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and grease the rear clip before I put it on there. All right. Now we're gonna get it mounted up. All right, and then we'll wrap up. Rear clip mounted to the Truggy. Oh man, this thing looks so badass. I hate the part of getting this thing dirty. I'd love to have a bunch of these on the shelf, but yeah, that'd be too pricey. All right. Last step is going to be attach the brace, rear chassis brace to the rear bulkhead. And there we go. All right, so that pretty much wraps up, I think, bag number 13. Oh, yep, now we're moving to bag number 14, which is gonna be side guards. These bad boys right here, so let me get them cracked open and ready to go. All right, so first part of bag number 14 is gonna be installing the side guards, and I've already applied some thread locker to the screws. And that being done because you are going to go into the chassis, which is the threaded part. Oop. All right, now let's get the right side in. All right, wrap it up here. Okay, now the front part, or the first part of back 14. Now the next part of back 14 is going to be the center diff mounts. So let me get this thing cut open here and open up. All right, so I got everything unpacked here for the center diff and motor mount. It's all like one piece there. There we go. So sorry. That'll be attached to the motor, so I'm gonna move that over to one side. Pretty nice unit. Black anodized, and what I'm gonna do, or what I've already done, is put some thread locker on the two flat heads that are gonna be on the mount. Because the part that's like the motor mount for the diff is part of, one part of it is aluminum, the other part's going to be just a regular plastic unit. So obviously I'm only going to put thread locker on the first one. All right. And then here's the plastic part right there. So I'm going to get the center diff ready. You'll see it in a bit. Making sure I'm cleaning up here. Okay, and it's going to be mounted kind of like how you see it here. Ready? And I'm going to hold it with my other hand here. There we go. We got a excuse me. We got a center diff mounted. And this is the center diff cap. All right. Now to get this thing mounted up. All right on. One other part that's part of obviously the motor mount is going to be there's a cover that I guess covers the pinion that obviously will go on when the motor is on, but I might not even use it. Depends. We'll see how it goes. All right, well that wraps up bag number 14. I think we're going to move on to bag number 15 now, which I think is going to be moving on to the battery tray. Okay, so I got contents of bag 15 already here. One thing I did want to point out, that bag 15 is numbered, like the one I showed you. And then there's also another secondary bag that's got these, which is the actual tray. I'm not sure why I didn't put it in there. But there is adjustability to where you can run dual stack 2S batteries or one 4S. I'm running a 4S brick on this one. This is one of the ones I'm going to use. Actually, this is probably for my e-buggy. I have one that's a bit stronger, but I'm just going to use this for mock-up. Yeah, so the way you can kind of tell is, see how there's two sets of mounting holes. So, you can slide them, based on how you're going to need them. How much space you're going to need, you can slide it on the chassis and then mount it. Another thing I wanted to point out is there is a front and a right way to mount these. Like right now, they're kind of like tilted. They're uneven, but if you flip them around, then they're perfectly level, right? So you gotta keep that in mind too. So first things first, I'm gonna get the first tray mounted up. And I think I'm gonna go far forward. Yeah. All right, so before I mount this, the battery trays, obviously I wanted to run the battery straps. Bummed they didn't have the WRC logo on them embossed on there, but yeah, I would love to represent, but whatever. Anyway, so what I'm going to try to do is get this thing, see if I can get it mounted to where I can get the center of gravity of the truck to be as far to the middle as I can, so that it's the weight's in the middle, so the truck doesn't have, you know, a tendency to maybe want to push to one way or the other. Like if I have the weight more sitting on this side, right? Again, I'm not even an expert on weight transfer, but I'm just kind of speculating. I just wanted to see how close I can get with the existing mount so that it doesn't rub against the center diff. I'm sure they would have thought of that. All right, so yeah, that's, you see right there where you get the weight as close to the middle where the motor is going to be, right? So on this side to kind of balance it. So yeah, I'm good with that. All right. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a battery mounted. Sweet. Okay, so now that I got the battery mounting all squared away, the next thing up is the ESC mount, which I really dig their mounting method. It pretty much slips right on over these little ears right here that are at the back of the battery tray, like just like that. And then the ribbing from the side guard provides the support for the bottom. So if you were to want to, you know, set your ESC to motor connectivity with like some sort of like connector, you could, and this would be essentially a quick disconnect, or it could be. I'm not going to do that. It'll be, you know, it'll be like hardwired to the ESC. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, you get the servo mounting tape. I'm going to clean this off with some alcohol really to get a good bond. But yeah, that wraps up this portion of back 15. The continuation of back 15 is actually the steering servo tray, which I do have the steering servo. It's going to be a KO Pro, an RSX2 response servo, so it'll be pretty quick. So let me get this thing unpacked and ready to rock and roll, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I got the stuff unpacked for the continuation of back 15, which is the receiver tray / servo tray. Yeah, so I got everything I need to get started here. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna review. Okay, right here, there's the, see how the, all right, cool. Just want to make sure, just because I usually like to run a little some black silicone once I route everything through there, just to make sure dirt doesn't get in there. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify that. So all right, let me get everything squared away here, and we'll get this thing mounted up. All right, for this step for inserting the servo, it comes with like this little block that's going to be like the backing for the front half of the servo tray. And what I suggest, what I've done in the past, is just go ahead and thread it in a few times. Go ahead and make the pilot holes now. So it's going to go like right in here. So believe me, just save yourself a lot of time and frustration and just do it from the get-go. So right here I already inserted one of them with the spacer that's provided, so that the servo isn't resting on the chassis and just getting all kinds of abuse. So let me do the second one here. And there we go. All right, next part is gonna be mounting the servo arm. All right, so the next step is to mount the steering servo horn. Now, I'm not gonna use the composite pieces that come with it. I have this one laying around. 25 tooth, and I went ahead and already applied some thread locker to the screw, since it's going into an aluminum threaded servo horn, and then the link is actually threaded as well. How this thing's gonna sit on the tray to see if I need to use the first or the second hole for the servo horn to get it to line up correctly with the arm. And it looks like it's going to be the inside hole, and it looks like the 32 millimeter that they specified is just going to be way too long. Alright, so I went ahead and mounted it already. I had to get actually a longer screw. It came with an 8 mil, which is too short because the arm that I'm using is a lot thicker, so I went with a 10 mil, and it pretty much ended up fitting flush with the link, which works out perfectly. But I also did apply some thread locker to that. Yeah, so now let me move towards getting the servo tray mounted to the Truggy, and I think, let me check here. Like I was saying, I'm definitely gonna have to shorten that. Again, they said that 32 millimeters was gonna be the measurement, and you can see it's way too long. So let me take time here to shorten that up. All right, so I got the link shortened up to where I want it, and even then it's not going to be done because obviously once I get the battery charged and everything ready to set up, and the trims and the or my sub trim, whatever, I'm gonna have to pull the horn off anyway, just so I can show you. So yeah, you get it's a round head cap screw. It's gonna come up through the bottom. I've already put some thread locker on it, and this one takes a 3 mil on the top, right? And this is gonna be really hard for me to get on camera, so I'm gonna try, but you're just gonna have to trust me. Man, this servo's super smooth, man, but yeah. Ooh, this steering's gonna be fast. I can already tell. I'm definitely gonna have to get used to that. All right, so there we go. That's pretty much, I think, let me double check here. I think that's wrapping up bag number 15. All right, so I got bag 16, which is the front shocks, unpacked here, and I'm just gonna kind of review some of the steps I already kind of did. I already installed the O-ring that goes into the shock collar, or the collar that adjusts the height of the shock. So I already did that on both of those. I've already reamed a little bit of the plastic to prepare them for the shock shafts, and next I'm gonna go ahead and trim these off of the tree so I can start building the actual shock bottoms, with the O-rings and the X-brace. Or the X-ring, I should say. So yeah, let me go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so another thing for this build, they included 600 CST shock fluid for front and rear mount. And right now what I'm gonna do is get some on my finger and kind of, get some on the O-rings. All right, now let me do the other one real quick. Oh yeah, they're 8-hole 1.2, so. All right, so you install the little washer, and then the piston with the taper facing down, and then you get the nylon lock nut, and get your shock pliers and your little handy-dandy shock tool that you've gotten from your previous ready to runs. Get a little bit of the shock oil, and I'm gonna feed it through the bottom here. That's why I put lubrication on there, because it's pretty tight fit, and you want to make sure that you go in there kind of, you know, you don't want to tear the tear or damage the O-ring, because then that'll just cause leaking. So, and lower shock shaft. All right, it's not specified in the manual, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to where the threads are no longer visible, plus 1 turn. All right, so I already did both shocks and inserted both links already. You know, you guys have already seen me do it on multiple components on these cars, and they're all pretty much the same thing. I don't want to repeat myself too much. But I always put a little bit of the shock fluid on the shock end here to get the shock boot to go over much easier. All right, so now I'm gonna fill up the shock. It's about a little bit over halfway. So built with bladders, so even though the bladder's kind of like you know, it's a really hard bladder, which provides kind of like a lot of resistance. I'm gonna stick with the 600 for now and see how it goes. Like I said, I'll take it out to the track to break in the truck, and then make some adjustments there depending on the conditions, because it's gonna be pretty chilly this weekend. So we'll see. All right, so enough time has passed now, and I think all the air bubbles are finally out of the shocks. And now I'm gonna install the top cap here. All right. All right, now that I got them built and squared away, put the springs on. Just gotta locate the little horn that comes out on the bottom. That'll seat with the bottom of the shock cap. Nothing too spectacular. Like I said, I'm just gonna start off with the 600 and send it out there for practice day, see how it does, and then probably go a little thinner with the weather. It's gonna be pretty chilly. Even though it's a covered facility, it's still open air, and it's supposed to be pretty cold, so I don't think this is gonna do it, and we're probably gonna go a little lighter. But again, we'll wait and see till we get out there. All right, so I got all the shocks built, front and rear, and now I'm gonna go ahead and mount them to the Truggy. So first thing I'm gonna do is insert these plastic inserts that go into the shock eyelets, like that. So the manual is showing that I need to, or they suggest that you set the shock height, or stand the shock up on the 3rd hole down from the top. So there's a total of 5 holes, so they want you to use the 3rd hole down from the top, so going left to right. Right. Let me zoom out a bit. Now I'm going to get the shock standoff. These are aluminum. It's the one, sorry. All right. And I repeat it on the other side. Okay, so now I got the shock, those inserts, the flat part, right? It's gonna go towards the back of the shock, all right? Like that. All right, and now to mount down here on the arms, it's showing to put them on the middle hole. So you've got 3 holes there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's 1, 2, 3 holes they want us to mount in the middle. And then there's also a what they refer to as a black and a white. The black one is the right hand, and the silver one is a left hand thread. So all right, there we go. Oh, can't wait to get this thing out there. This thing looks so sick. So all right. So that pretty much wraps up, I think, bag number 17. And now it moves us on to bag number 18, which is going to be the wing. So we're into the final assembly here. So yeah, let me get this thing unpacked, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm ready to put the wing on, and it comes with these, I want to call them like wing spacers or whatever, but there's the number 4. That's flat, right, for a flat mount, even though the rear wing mount has a curve to it. Or you can go with this one that's kind of wedged, and you know, that'll give you a little bit more of an angle, I guess you want to call it an angle of attack on the wing. So I'm just gonna go with the standard, the flat mount, and kind of go from there. This is a really big track. And it being in kind of a semi-indoor track, I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of wind in there, but it could be wrong. So, but anyway, so let me get these mounted up. And I'm not going to use the white wing. I'll probably use it for practice. But this is the one that I'm actually going to race with. It's the new J&T Bearing Lexan wing. It's got my fingerprints all over it, but man, this thing is sick. And of course they got the matching wing, I don't know what you would call those, wing caps, I guess. Yeah. Oh, you know what? First things first, if I'm going to use this one, I gotta mark the holes. So give me a second. All right, so now I'm gonna install the wing support, which is this aluminum piece here that is threaded. It's kind of like a dog bone, I guess, and it slips in through these holes here in the wing mount. All right, so this aluminum piece here, so yeah, once you slide that dog bone aluminum rod through the wing mount and it sits flush on both sides, then the holes for the wing mounts, for the the wing nuts and the screws line right up, and that right there makes it a super strong wing mount. I mean, this thing is stout, man. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Bag 18, which is the wing mount, the body, and putting tires on it, was the last step. I'm not done yet though. I still have some odds and ends, putting a bolt there, which I'm not going to do until I get the transmitter and this thing's ready to go and I set the trims up. Mount the ESC, the motor came in, I got the delivery notification, so I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to wrap this video up. The next video will be that, showing you a completed Truggy motor ESC ready to go, and you'll see it with the painted body and the stickers, and it should be a great unveil video, man. I can't wait to take this thing out there. It's going to be awesome. E Truggy's an up and coming class. It's getting more popular, super fun to watch, and it looks fun to race, and that's going to be me this weekend. So With that said, we're gonna let everybody go. I want to thank again, thank everybody again for sticking with us. Comments, messages we get, private messages telling us that they like the content and that they want us to keep going and they're looking forward to seeing this thing completed. So with that said, good night, everybody. It's gonna be a late one for me, but I'm gonna let you guys go early. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you out there. Hopefully, TNRE Main, come by and say hi if you're out there. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good night.